And welcome to Hannity. And tonight we are in beautiful Palm Beach, Florida, broadcasting from Mar-a-Lago, where in just a moment, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, he will join us for his very first sit-down interview since roughly 30 federal agents, guns drawn, stormed through the doors right here in the president's own home. Now, in what was obviously an unprecedented rate historically, but we begin with a few serious questions for everybody watching tonight. Do we have in America today equal justice under the law? We have equal application of our laws in this country. Do our local, state, and federal officials, do they investigate crimes or prosecute people? If America's justice system is ever weaponized and politicized beyond repair, this country that we all love, we are in big trouble. Now, take a look at New York Attorney General Letitia James. Now, today she filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and 3 of his children and other entities, claiming that they inflated the value of the Trump Organization. Now, it is nothing short of a very obvious political stunt. It is not a criminal case. It is a civil case. But after 3 years of nonstop, obsessive investigations into every aspect of the president's life, well, Letitia James, she had to do something. Because during her race for Attorney General in the state of New York, she seemed totally, completely uninterested with investigating crimes or keeping New York safe from violent offenders. It's less safe than it's ever been. Instead, her main campaign pledge was to go after one man, Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's family, and Donald Trump's organization. Well, today, in front of the entire nation, she fulfilled her campaign promise. Take a look.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake. I believe that the president of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
That man in the White House who can't go a day without threatening our fundamental rights.
Yes, we need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses. We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. We need to find out whether or not he's engaged in conspiracy.
Now, is it any wonder these numbers came out today? The state of New York set a brand new record for the month of August. 5,838 residents in the state of New York have now switched in 31 days, their driver's licenses from New York to Florida. That's in 1 month. Now, the Attorney General isn't even trying to hide her efforts to weaponize justice in New York State. Her conduct is deeply unethical at best, but she's not alone. Now, from the Trump haters on Capitol Hill, high-ranking deep state bureaucrats in the DOJ, the FBI, now we have witnessed, going on many years, the 45th president has been the subject of what is nonstop, never-ending legal scrutiny focused not on a specific crime, but on the man himself. Now, this is an intense legal scrutiny that no Democrat has ever faced, no other president has ever faced. For example, for the first time in history, an American president's home was raided by the FBI. Biden, his main opponent in 2020, maybe 2024, well, his DOJ is accusing former President Trump of holding on to 103 classified documents after his presidency. Now, they have 11,000 that were not controversial in any way. And by the way, a president can declassify any of these documents. Unlike, for example, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, she cannot. We'll get to that in a minute. Still, she stored 110 classified documents on unsecured private servers. Hillary Clinton was never forced to endure a federal raid. She was never charged with any crime. Now, here is James Comey, in his own words, outlining all the classified information that he and his FBI at the time that they found, and then stating no reasonable prosecutor would ever bring a case against Clinton. Take a look.
110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received. 8 of those chains contained information that was top secret at the time they were sent. 36 of those chains contained secret information at the time, and 8 contained confidential information at the time. Although we did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton or her colleagues intended to violate laws governing the handling of classified information, there is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
Now, keep in mind with what you just heard, 33,000 emails on servers and hard drives. Remember, nobody had ever heard of something called BleachBit. Well, she washed those servers, those hard drives clean with BleachBit. Now the country knows what it is. Also, communication devices, they were destroyed with hammers. SIM cards removed from phones and Blackberries. One set of rules for Trump, another for Hillary Clinton. Now, we see the same thing, by the way, with the Bidens, Joe Biden and his family. As President Trump was impeached over a routine phone call with Ukraine saying, I hope you're not going to be like your predecessors and abuse the money of my taxpaying fellow Americans. Well, they accused President Trump at the time of a quid pro quo. We went through an impeachment over that. Apparently, though, on the other hand, it was perfectly fine Joe Biden bragging on tape that he literally leveraged $1 billion of your taxpayer dollars to get a prosecutor in Ukraine fired. We find out why? For investigating his son, who's making millions with no experience. Is this equal justice? Take a look.
We're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
Now, the prosecutor Joe wanted, well, is gone. After 6 hours, the son of a bee is gone. When the investigation for his son Hunter for public corruption for years has been going on, zero experience Hunter, that prosecutor was investigating him. He went on GMA, no experience in oil or gas or energy or Ukraine. And he was traveling the world with his father, selling access to the office of then Vice President Biden, making millions of dollars from communist China, a $150 billion deal there. Again, no experience. A Russian oligarch, the former First Lady of Moscow, $3.5 million, Kazakhstan, and every other corrupt country they could on the face of the earth. And then, by the way, he then allegedly funneled that money back to the United States. There are issues involving taxes there. Tony Bobolinsky told the country that he was the big guy. He sat in the meetings. They were going to give him his percentage, meaning Joe Biden. And meanwhile, Hunter was on video with the laptop that everybody said 3 weeks before the 2020 election was Russian disinformation. It wasn't. But there he is smoking crack, soliciting foreign prostitutes, and and they're recording all of it on the laptop that the FBI has now had for years. Oh, and he also lied on a gun application, lost track of that gun. It ended up in a dumpster near an elementary school. But Hunter's home, his home was never raided. Joe's home, it's never been raided. We now have all the evidence that one could ever want that Joe Biden knew of and knowingly profited from his son Hunter's foreign business dealings. He lied to the country when he said, I've never one time talked to my son about his foreign business dealings. Now, the media mob, I know you're watching tonight, welcome aboard, they won't even ask him about why he lied. All the evidence exists. He did meet many of Hunter Biden's business partners, foreign business partners. And according to whistleblowers, we're expecting a lot of them in the coming weeks and months, high-ranking federal officials attempted to either slow walk or, in fact, block investigations into these apparent crimes. So tonight, I asked the media mob, I know you're watching. I asked the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, I know you're watching. I asked FBI Director Wray, I'm sure you're all watching. Is this really the America you want? Is this the justice system that the American people deserve, where political justice and vengeance is doled out by those in power while others are protected and shielded from prosecution? Because the pendulum, by the way, I will remind you, it will swing. And right now, we are headed down a very dark path. And I want to be very clear. I'm very clear. I'm a conservative. And I would never want in the United States of America, I believe the greatest country God gave man, any Democrat, any socialist to be treated unfairly. not to have equal justice or application of our laws. That would be unconstitutional. All right, joining us now for the full hour, the 45th